Well, I'm here because of an ambulance. It's very important. And I'm here because of Ukraine. Very important. And also, I suppose, because it's Cornwall. I live in Devon. Don't groan. In fact, I'd like a clap for that, please. Would you mind? I just want to say a word or two before I read the story. There's a strong connection between my being here and Cornwall, in the sense that at one particular point, and some of you here may be old enough to remember, I don't remember, I wasn't born. But we had a war, I seem to remember, did we not, from 1939 to 1945. And for a time, we were standing alone against tyranny. And Cornwall played its part, naval, RAF, army, and we have war memorials as evidence. My uncle died in Cornwall. I think, yes, he was 21, at a place called St. Abel. His plane crashed. So we are connected to this fight for freedom. It's very, very important, not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children. So that's why I'm here. It is, of course, for Ukraine, but it's for all of us, because they're doing the fighting now. The story I wrote was for the people of Ukraine and indeed for refugees everywhere. We used to play in the park, build our snowmen there, have picnics under our favourite tree, a weeping willow tree it was. Papa often called it our family tree. I could reach up and stroke the green of her leaves in summer, the gold of her twigs in winter. But then we had no park, we had craters instead. Then we had no tree. We had a wreck of a tree instead, a shattered, splintered trunk, a broken crown of golden twigs. We used to have a town, we used to have a home, but then we had ruins and rubble instead. I used to have a father, but he went to the war, and we didn't know where he was. We lived in a basement. Every bomb that fell shook my bones, made Mama hold me even tighter. There was no more food. There was no water to drink, but rainwater from the puddles outside. In the basement, we sometimes sang songs, so we didn't have to hear the planes coming over, the sound of gunfire in the distance, the sound of moaning and crying. We sang so we didn't cry ourselves. We were in that basement for 2 weeks. It wasn't all a nightmare. We came out into the daylight sometimes when there was a pause in the bombing. There was sun and cold, fresh air then, and often the brightness of new snow. We breathed it all in. There were dogs wandering around looking for food. Some of the houses were not even there. They'd been disappeared. Every time we went out, we walked back home and searched the ruins for anything we could find. One day, I found Papa's penknife in the rubble, and Mama found the headscarf Papa had given her the Christmas before the invasion happened, before the Russians came, before our whole world changed. The scarf was covered in dust, hardly recognizable. She was holding it to her face and crying into it. I put my arms around her, but I didn't cry. I was too sad these days to cry. A shell fell on the outskirts of town. The ground shook, but I hardly bothered. I'd got used to the fear in the end, numbed by it, perhaps. Mama had got through these dark times, I think, by worrying about me and Papa, and I had got through by worrying about her and Papa. Worry is useful. It distracts when you're hungry and thirsty and cold and sad. Sad, I never got used to. It saddened my heart every time we walked by our fallen tree. I never passed it without reaching out and stroking her golden crown of twigs. I was doing just that one early morning, wondering at the beauty of our family tree, even in death, how she glowed in the sunlight. That was the moment Mama told me, "We are leaving, Katya, today, now. Don't be upset. Papa will know where to find us. If the worst came to the worst, and with the Russians shelling us like they are, it couldn't be much worse. We agreed that you and I should leave. The time has come." I wasn't too upset. Most of my school friends had left long ago. Anything was better than living in the basement waiting for the next bomb to fall. I just wanted to get away from the shelling, get away from the Russians. "Where can we go?" I asked her. "Where will we live?" "England. You have your Aunt Annetta living there and your Uncle Robert. They want us to come and live with them until we can find a place of our own." But I wasn't paying that much attention to her. All I was thinking about was that I wanted to take something from Ukraine with me, something that was living, part of the land, part of my country. I took out Papa's penknife and told Mama what I wanted to do. "You told me once that all you had to do to grow a willow tree like our family tree was to cut off a golden twig and plant it in the soil. Make sure it was watered and it would grow. Like magic, you said." "That's what I want to do, Mama." She helped me choose the right golden twig from our family tree. I held it while she cut it. I picked up a handful of Ukrainian earth, pressed it into a plastic cup we found lying nearby, and pushed the cutting deep in. Back in the basement, we wrapped it in a plastic bag and put it carefully into a side pocket of my rucksack. That cutting came in my rucksack with us all the way from home to Poland, to Germany, to France, to England, and at last to Aunt Annetta's and Uncle Robert's house in Exeter, where I now live, for the moment, with Mama. We had quite a journey, I can tell you. We have had to fill out more forms than, how do you say it, than you've had hot dinners. On the first evening we were there, we planted the willow cutting from our home in their lawn. I watered it every day, and already it's taken root. Mama was quite right. It is magic. I go to school here now, speak English much better than Mama. I have English friends, lots of them. I sing in the school choir, and last week the choir sang the Ukrainian national anthem in assembly, and that did make me cry. Papa is still at the war. We phone each other often. They are doing well, he says, and they will fight on until the invader is driven out and sent home with all his tanks and guns. It may take a while, he said in his last call, and I must be patient. I'm not very good at being patient, but I'll try. I'm impatient to see him, to show him our little Ukrainian willow tree and the English robin that perches on her and sings his heart out. I'm impatient for our tree to grow tall and strong, just like the family tree in our park at home in Ukraine. Our tree is flourishing here. I am too. Mama misses Papa. I do too. We love it here, but we miss home. We will go back home one day soon, Mama says, to a free country, and Papa will be waiting for us. And meanwhile, we have our little reminder of Ukraine in the garden here, growing in Ukrainian earth and English earth. I like that. I love that. She is our tree of hope.